In today's video, I've got 5 massive photography tips for you while I sort of scout this area here for potential autumn photos later down the line in a few weeks' time. So basically, in the first 10 minutes of the walk or so today, I've come across this little stone hut in the background there. Now, obviously, at the minute, it is completely shrouded in shadow because the sun, where is the sun? The sun's up there behind the trees above us. So this would be a late evening shot, maybe, late afternoon shot. And of course, these trees here are still very green at the minute. We're probably 2-3 weeks away from this particular area being really orange. There is some orange trees starting to show behind us over there, but like I say, today was a scout more than anything, so I'm actually really happy about finding this. I am going to take a shot for reference. Awesome, and that was at 35mm, and I just think that's going to serve as a nice reference shot for me when I get home to look at and remember to come back to when all these trees are kicking off, if they do. Improving your own photography while not actually going out and taking photos might sound like the most ridiculous concept ever, right? But stick with me and let me explain why it's not. So you could be sick or injured, you could be stuck in the house, your camera could be in for repair, you could be on a long train journey or on a flight. I don't know, but the point is this is something you can do when you're not actively using your camera to improve your photographic eye. So next time you come across a photo that stops you in your tracks for more than 5 seconds and you're actually looking at it and thinking something about this is fantastic, I really, really like it, instead of just pressing like or scrolling on or opening another tab on the internet, I want you to screenshot it and just save it for later. And then next time you've got time, next time maybe you've got a bulk load of photos that you've screenshotted and they've had this effect on you, I want you to go and deconstruct them. Analyze it, annotate it, make little notes on it if you want to. I want you to really figure out why you found it so pleasing and why it stopped you in your tracks for longer than 5 seconds in this ridiculous world of scrolling. So if you manage to do this enough times, what I think you will find is that you will notice a pattern. The stuff that you start pulling out from these images will become more and more clear to you, and it will be like a light bulb moment in your head that says, okay, this is something that I'm pulling out from all of these images and I really, really like it. So maybe that is something I should focus on in my photography, and it can also help to give you a lot of direction as well. You're soaked already, mate. Ridiculous. Does anybody else have that shoelace that comes undone over and over again, no matter how much you tie it? The last time I tied this, I said to myself, right, that's Fort Knox now. It won't come undone. And it did. When you're out taking photos and you find something you really like to take a photograph of, the scene that's in front of you and the moment that's happening, if it's a moment that's happening fast, should dictate which orientation you choose to shoot with in terms of portrait orientation or landscape orientation. The current, shall we call it, industry standard form of sharing photos online should not be the dictation of which orientation you use when you take photographs, which obviously for far too long has been Instagram's portrait crop. I would probably bet all of my camera gear on the fact that there are millions of photographers out there only framing and taking photos in portrait orientation because the biggest platform right now to share photos on is Instagram, and the best way to post on that platform is in portrait orientation, and it's not even full aspect ratio, it's 4:5, I believe, which, you know, I can understand to a degree because you go out and you put a lot of effort in to take these photographs and you want it to look the best it possibly can on social media or whichever platform you post it on. But here's the thing, Instagram or whatever platform is the most prominent for sharing photography at whatever time isn't going to last forever, and it's not going to do your photographic eye any good if you simply shoot images that are dictated by sharing on that platform. Unless, of course, you've actually been hired to shoot images for a business's Instagram or a social media campaign, in which case you probably are going to fit those guidelines for that brand or company. But this has always been the case in photography since the dawn of time. Some places, some scenes, some moments work best in landscape orientation, others in portrait, and others you can do both at. So part of being a fantastic photographer that's well versed, that can see a scene and know what they need to do and frame it properly, is choosing that orientation and the one that is going to get you the best image. You know, if I did an actual really honest what's in my camera bag, I'd have to include items such as pedigree rodeo 7 chicken, reduced fat, omega-3 vitamin, dog snacks. And I mean, if you're a dog owner, that might be helpful, but good lad. Obviously, footpath here is closed, so I'm not going to walk past it, but there's a tree down there that I really like the look of. Definitely looks better if we cut the top off like that. Maybe a bit of a misty backdrop down there would work wonders. Now, I can't remember if I've touched on this briefly in a video before, but something I hear about the most and get asked about the most when it comes to photography is style, or more accurately, people struggling to find their photography style. Now, I know this can be a real hurdle for everybody, especially people just past that beginner stage and they're really looking for direction in their work. But the problem is, most people tend to speak about photography style like it's your editing style. And when I ask people, well, what do you want to portray in the images that you take? What do you like photographing the most? People always tend to go down a little bit of a tangent on how they like to edit photos, and they like to do moody edits and this and that edits. Your editing might play a major role in the final look of your photos and obviously does contribute to the cohesiveness of your work overall. But your photography style starts right at the beginning with the medium you choose, how you frame images, whether you like to always include people, whether you don't like including people. Do you enjoy searching for and photographing places that have a deep history tied to them, or you're somebody that only wants to shoot minimalist photos? I could go on and on and on, but all of this plays a way bigger role in your photography style than how you actually edit your images does. So if you ever feel like your photos aren't working for you anymore, or you're lacking direction, then maybe just start right at the beginning of the process again, rather than jumping to the very end of the process, which is editing your photos. Now, I'm not somebody who cares who uses what camera gear, and only you can be the decider of whether a piece of gear belongs in your kit or not. But what I will say, and what I do advise people that ask me questions about gear, is that whatever it is you choose to carry around in your bag, whatever item it is, lens, camera, mics, whatever, it needs to be unproblematic for you. In other words, the best camera body you can own is the one that gives you no problems. The best lens you can own is the one that gives you no problems. They don't get in the way of your shooting. To give you a very simple example of this, the camera I had last as my main photo camera didn't have the fully articulating screen, and whether you love them or don't love them, for me, it got in the way all the time because I like to get low, I like to use weird angles, I like to use blocking and peer around walls and stuff like that, and having a fully articulating screen makes that so much easier. So that camera got in the way of a lot of photographs for me. And worst case scenario, maybe you don't even try and get a photograph at a certain moment because you can't even be bothered to get that bit of gear out or set that bit of gear up because you know how much friction it causes between you and taking the photo. So yeah, long story short, the best kit that you can have, the best complete kit that you can have, is the one that causes you no problems when you're out in the field taking photographs. And actually, I'd say probably the best indicator of whether you need an upgrade or whether you need to swap a piece of kit out isn't when a new one comes on the market. It isn't when one's got more megapixels. It's when something that you own is causing you problems. So solve that problem, and then you'll have a more fun time shooting, and hopefully that means more images, better images. If you're enjoying this video and finding it helpful and would like to support the content I post here on YouTube, I will be launching a Patreon very soon. It's set up and ready to go already, but the exclusive post will be starting in a few weeks' time. You can check out what's on offer there by going to patreon.com/distantmedia or by clicking the link in my bio. Alternatively, a free way to show your support is by heading over to my website and having a good browse and click around to help me with its Google rankings, and finally by leaving a like on this video. Thank you so much for the support and thank you for being here. If you've ever gone to sleep the night before knowing the next day is a photography day and then you've woken up in the morning, looked out the window, checked the weather app on your phone and it's not aligning with what you want, so you've decided, I'm not going out to take any photos today, I'm going to sit in front of the telly and cry about how the conditions are always against me, then stop waiting around for the perfect conditions to take photographs and instead go to the correct place based on the conditions you are dealt with. Unless of course it's a tropical storm and you're at danger of being washed away at sea, then fair enough, maybe stay at home on those kind of days. If you just adapt whatever weather conditions you're faced with to a specific location that will look good in those conditions, you've got a way higher chance of coming away with at least something you like from that day, or if not, at least finding a new subject, a new location, anything like that, because you went out anyway. Not only is this the fastest way to improve as a photographer, because you're actually going out and using your camera as much as you possibly can, rather than once a month or twice a month when it's the perfect conditions, it's also going to allow you to find out a lot about yourself and what actually works for you. And you're never going to know if a certain conditions and a certain place is right for you in your photography until you actually go and try it, and then you can either keep note of it as something that worked or write it off as something that completely went wrong. Or you might get there and say, you know what, this is fantastic, there's a fantastic subject here, I've found a really nice composition, but I do need to come back in different weather. And on the topic of weather conditions, why not check out this video next about how to master blue midday sky photography. I'll see you in the next one.